welcome. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie as we start a new year of broadcasts. Welcome, I'm Jerry Escher along with Debbie Georgiani, and you can tell it's winter time because, well, at least for me, Debbie I think is doing okay, but yeah, I've got the old cold going on here, so wouldn't mind a quick little prayer or two if everyone thinks about that. But welcome, Deb. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You're starting the new year, Jerry, with a little bit of a raspy cold. Wow. That's not a great way to start the new year.
Well, I just wanted to get it out of the way early.
That's right.
This year.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great way to look at it. Positive thinking. I love that. Well, Happy New Year to all of our Take Two family. We're back live, and it's exciting to be with you. This is going to be a great hour. We're talking today about new beginnings. It's a new year, 2017, new beginnings. And so the idea of a kind of starting over is on everybody's minds, how to start again, start over. So many of us in our life experiences, we've had situations where we've had to start over, maybe in a relationship or a job, or with our kids leaving the nest, if you will, and becoming empty nesters. And so how does that feel? It's kind of a starting over. So we want to hear from you about this idea of how did you handle starting over? How did you handle this life change? Was it a positive experience? Was it a painful experience? Or maybe you grew from it. But that's what Take Two's all about. We want to leave this hour, and in 2017, Jerry, you promised we have some great shows planned, and we do, starting with this one. So I'm excited. I want our listeners to really participate.
Yeah, well, there's any number of things you can call in and talk about. Again, the number is 1-800-585-9396. You can text the letters EWTN to 55000. Just make sure you know the details of your data plan on your phone. I know most have unlimited talk and text and all of that stuff, but in case you don't, you might get a little data charge on there, so we want you to be aware of that. But yeah, this could be anything from reversing an unhealthy direction in your life. You may have realized, hey, I'm going down maybe not the right road here, so I want to go in this other direction here. Or perhaps you spent some time working, and then you thought, I really want to go back to school and get that degree that I always wanted. Or in the spiritual life, certainly, we get to points in our lives where we rethink our relationship with God, and we try some new things because maybe we weren't putting enough into it, or we weren't just getting out of it what we thought we should. So there are a lot of things you can call in and talk about today on our first live show of 2017. Got to get that out there right away. I haven't written any checks yet this year.
I was just going to say, I wrote my first check yesterday, Jerry, and I did it correctly. I put 2017. I was so proud of myself. But yes, this is a great show for you to participate in. Here's how you do it. You just dial this number, 1-800-585-9396. Now, we're going to start off the new year with, again, this statement of, if the Holy Spirit is prompting you, maybe, just maybe, you have something to say that we can all benefit from. So don't let that hold you back, that you feel maybe a little nervous to call in. It's a wonderful experience. You're going to talk to our call screener, Matt Gabinski. I believe Matt is call screening today. I hope he is. He's really fun to talk to. And he'll put you on hold. You can listen live to the show, and then you can just jump right in when we welcome you. It's a really great experience, and it helps all of us to learn and grow. 1-800-585-9396.
Well, it's also possible, too, that you have been in the same pattern in your life and maybe not unhappy, but not really fulfilled for a very long time, and you just have never really thought about starting over, having a new fresh start in your life. When we look at the cycles of the seasons, for example, we see winter, spring, summer, and fall. So we know that even God, Debbie, built into the cycle of the earth, the annual cycle of the earth, this whole notion of new beginnings. And so as we start a new year, it really is, I think it's a fantastic time. You hear people talking about, and we had a show last week about resolutions, and this one's a little bit different from that. This is just life in general. Folks, we want to know, have you reached a point in your life where you just said, some things have to change, and I'm going to make things better in my life? So that's our conversation today.
So join in. We're going to go ahead and hit the pause button in just a minute. And when we come back, we're going to go right to your calls. So the number to dial, you can get in. Perfect timing, 1-800-585-9396. It's New Beginnings. It's 2017, and we're talking about starting over. We want to hear your starting over story. We can learn from you, so don't miss out on this show. We'll be right back.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
It says there was a time when Caesar Augustus issued a decree for a census, and everyone went to his own town to be registered. And Joseph set out. I like to see Joseph when he went up to the soldiers, and the soldier would look up. He says, "Name, please." He says, "Joseph." "What tribe?" "David." "That your wife?" "Yeah." "Go on." Have you any idea what that soldier meant? He was talking to the foster father of the Son of God. He talked to Our Lady, who wouldn't give their arm and front teeth to talk to Our Lady. And within her was Jesus, Son of God. He missed the chance of a lifetime. But all he was interested is the census. And all we're interested is in the season. Is there any difference?
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
No Catholic radio station in your area? Perhaps God is calling you to get involved. Learn more about starting a Catholic radio station where you live. Contact Jack Williams, 205-795-5756, or jwilliams@EWTN.com today.
We know you like listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, but have you thought about bringing them to your next event? No matter what type of event you're hosting, parish mission, conference, or retreat, trust Jerry and Debbie to make it come alive. Begin the process today of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo.
This is John Martinoni, host of EWTN's Open Line Monday, and just a quick reflection on my Christmases in the past. It's from my mom's Polish heritage. All the kids and parents and everybody would all give each other their presents on Christmas Eve, and we'd get our big present from Santa Claus Christmas morning. And I just remember all the family time together Christmas Eve, what a wonderful time it was, and I've tried to pass that tradition along to my kids as well.
This is Father Larry Richards, host of EWTN Open Line Thursday.
Hello, this is Bishop Robert Baker from the Diocese of Birmingham.
This is Michael Warsaw, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of EWTN. Have a blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year from all of us at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
So good to be back with you on EWTN Radio and Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Gosh, Debbie, what? We only had taped shows 3 or 4 times during the holidays. It seemed like
right
seems
before
like we've
Christmas.
been away from you guys forever. So it's so good to be back with you, and thanks so much for tuning in. And today we're talking about kind of new beginnings or starting over in life. As Debbie said, maybe you're learning to live without kids in the home. How about maybe you just became a grandparent? That's really a start over kind of a moment in somebody's life. Or perhaps you have just said, I have had enough of this career path. I'm going to go down this career path. See, these times that we make these are significant changes, Debbie, in our lives. And really, discernment and trusting in God and allowing Him to lead us are so important at these moments.
I'm glad you said about it being significant changes. They're pivotal changes that really change the direction of the way we look at ourselves and where we're going in life. And those decisions that we make are very important. That's why we always talk about how we should have proper discernment, because when we make decisions, they do have an impact on others. And it's important for us as Catholic Christians to keep that in mind as we're processing our life changes. So that's why this conversation is a great exercise for us to really kind of step back and look at maybe the things that we're thinking of for the future, especially the immediate future, 2017. So we want to hear from you. 1-800 585-9396. And I just got word from Rich Jesse that Matt Gabinski is call screening today. So Matt is so much fun to talk to. You'll love speaking with him. He's just a delight. Sometimes I just talk to him just because I can talk to him. And that's a good thing. But
right
Rebecca,
after the show, Debbie calls Matt and just wants to chat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Rebecca, you were up first, coming in so quickly, listening to EWTN Radio in Buffalo, New York on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Rebecca. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So tell us your starting over story. We want to hear.
Okay. Well, I felt like a very, very hard drive. It's been like a month and a half, a very hard drive. I mean, to totally, like, I got rid of my car. I just really, really honestly wanted to start over. I just strictly want peace, joy, happiness, and love in my life. Okay. So I did anything that's going to cause me any stressors. I got rid of anything that's going to cause me any stressors. So now I just feel a very, very hard push and led, and I keep on hearing the word principalia in my head. I don't know what that means, and whatchamacallit, like the definition of it. And just to, like, my mission is to obviously change the world, save the world. You know what I mean? That's what I've always wanted to do. And it just feels like, okay, well, where do I go? How do I start? How can I be led by God? It's just, my faith has been so strong my whole life. Never once had any sort of doubt. And I just wanted to know, where could I go? What could I do? You know what I mean? And what does actually does principalia mean?
Yeah, you know what? I've never heard of the word. Debbie, have you?
I haven't either.
Are you saying principalium, U-M at the end, Rebecca?
No, principalia, P-R-R-N, it's like principalia.
Principalia, yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
I'm not familiar with the word.
I'm not familiar either.
But yeah, have you considered a spiritual director, Rebecca? Do you have a priest or a wise, holy layman or laywoman that you can meet with and discuss these things?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if you've thought about that, because you are saying some deep things here. Your heart, God is moving in your heart. There's no question about that. And I think he's going to ask you to go deeper in a number of different ways, especially spiritually. And at those times, I know in my life, Rebecca and Debbie, you can probably say the same thing, I have not wanted to go it alone. In fact, I have had spiritual direction. It goes back to the years I spent in the seminary, and it's been 20 years since I've been out, and I still meet regularly. I just met with my spiritual director last Saturday, and so that's something to consider, Rebecca, so that you it's not somebody who tells you what to do, but it's someone who will listen to what you tend to think God is doing in your life, and then just kind of I don't want to say keep you between the lines, but just sort of affirm or confirm or say, I don't know. But a spiritual director, really a good one, in my understanding, is someone who can draw out of you those realities that God is communicating to you. Debbie, does that sound at all a reasonable explanation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I would highly encourage seeking out and praying about first, Rebecca, for somebody to come into your life that can really help you bounce these spiritual ideas back and forth with, so that it can move you forward. Obviously, you're being called to do that. It sounds like you purged a lot of things that you wanted to kind of start anew. You know, when I Googled Principalia, it came up, and I've never really seen this. It's called the noble or the noble or ruling class, the upper class of a civilization. That's what first came up. I've never heard of that term, and I'm curious as to maybe that's why it might be good to bounce this off of a spiritual director or someone else that you trust that is spiritually sound, because it almost sounds like, I don't know why, but it's almost like you're Prince of Peace. It's coming to me, Prince of Peace, and you talked about you wanted more no stressors in your life. So I'm wondering if maybe it's coming through a little bit different. So I don't know. It's interesting when you said that. That's the first thing that came to mind to me. But when you talk about no stressors, Rebecca, here's the thing. I'm right with you. I would love for that utopian type environment where there's no stressors. The problem is you're going to encounter human beings, and in human nature, you're going to have stresses. So
ego-based.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm curious as one other thing, Rebecca, when you said you got rid of your car, you did everything, was there something that prompted you to say, okay, I'm done, I'm shedding everything and I'm changing? Was there a real pivotal moment?
Well, yes. I started a big spiritual path back in May, where I've completely wanted to shed all of my ego. Get rid of all my ego, being completely, find my soul down to the depths of my soul. Okay, really just live my soul. I mean, I've lived in a very, very, I've been very, just different, difficult, very insecure, very low confidence, whatever. That's just how my life was. And I came to that point where, no, I want to find my soul. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when I got to that point where I said, okay, you know what, my car is causing me way too much money. All my needs are met now. I have, my beautiful son. I have myself. I have my beautiful home. My car was just causing me way too much stress. I didn't want any more stress. Like, I completely just say no more stress, and that's just how that started. And I mean, okay, so now I have to get rides and whatever. But I mean, realistically, I was paying over $500 a month in my car. And, I've completely shedded everything that no longer serves me. So what I did is I did a lot of meditating. I did a lot of spiritual work, keeping my vibrations and higher my vibrations and everything to bring the peace and joy into my life. I mean, constantly praying, angels, all of that. So that's what I have done. And I'm finding my soul more and more, but I just feel that principality in my head, and I feel that push. And it's like really, really discerning me to say, okay, let's find out who your soul is. Let's find out what's going on. Let's find out how we're going to do this, because obviously we all know that, the society now is just completely
right. So, after hearing what Rebecca had to say, definitely a spiritual direction is definitely the next course, because you need a sound Catholic spiritual director to really discern with you and process things so that you can be shaped and formed in the faith in the appropriate ways. Because sometimes when you're seeking this spirituality, you can get off a little bit on what maybe God really wills for you, and a spiritual director can really help with that. Jerry, would you? I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree, Rebecca. Thank you, by the way, for the call. We appreciate that. I just would echo what Debbie said. It sounds like you are sensing some radical shifts in your life, and it's one thing when we're talking about the more basic things of life, but when you're talking about maybe getting rid of a car and stripping yourself of some of these material possessions, and a little bit more of a radical, a little more deep transformation of your life, really, I would definitely encourage you to talk with someone outside of yourself, again, just to make sure that, this is all coming from God and you're doing the right things and you're doing what God wants you to do. And it sounds like you've got a real heart after God, Rebecca, so we thank you for that, and we appreciate your call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. As we talk today, our first live show of the new year, we talk about beginning anew, starting over. What has been a time or a situation in your life where you have just basically had kind of a new start on something? 1-800-585-9396. Andrea is next, listening to EWTN Radio on TuneIn Radio in Mexico City. Hi, Andrea. Happy New Year to you.
Hi. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Oh, thank you for bringing up this topic. I wanted to know. I wanted to know what I could do in this new year, or just ask also for prayers of support. There are times I used to be able to give up, certain things food-wise, let's say on a certain day of the week, as a form of fasting. But right now I have 4 little ones, and with school and homework and house and food and clothes and babies, and I can't find myself being able to do that anymore. And just things that might be able to help me out. I don't know. I do pray. Thank God. I talk to God throughout the day. But
well, Andrea,
I feel,
if I may,
feel somewhat. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Please finish. I'm sorry.
No, I just feel so consumed by everything. I know I'm not giving as much time and attention to God. So.
Well, and I would say a couple of things, and Debbie can probably comment on the second one more, and I'll let her do that, and that is you do need to find some time for yourself and take care of yourself. But what I would say is, and really, I was going to comment on something, and you really set it up beautifully with your last comment. You said you don't feel like you're giving enough time to God. Let me tell you something, and I've never been a parent, but I can hear your kids in the background. Every moment of every day that you are spending with those kids, you are giving time to God. You are fulfilling your divine calling. You are doing what you were created by God to do. You are perfecting yourself, if I may put it that way. And so you may think about spending time with God as being quiet and going in front of the Blessed Sacrament and getting in 20 decades of the Rosary every day or going to Mass every day or what have you. But every moment you spend with those kids is pleasing to God, and it's time spent with God. Again, I'm gonna shift it over to Debbie because again, no life should be completely devoid of quiet personal time either. But Debbie, I think you'd agree with me that on my assessment of her serving God and serving her family. But what about fitting in a little bit of time for Andrea just to get away and be quiet?
Jerry, you said it so beautifully. I was just soaking it all in. Thank you for saying that, because Andrea, and I hope I get it right, Andrea, your vocation as a mother, you are definitely serving God, and 4 little ones, that's a lot that you are serving. Here's something just practical I really would love for you to do for yourself if you can do it. So many times we try to carve out a ton of time for ourselves, and then we find that the kids need us, so we put it to the very last bit of the day, and then we're tired and we collapse on the bed, and the day starts all over again. What I'd love for you to do, Andrea, if you could do this, is 15 minutes in the morning just for you. Even if you have to set that alarm, or if you have any support around you, say, listen, I just need 15 minutes, and either go for a walk or pray, like maybe pray a decade of the Rosary while you're walking, just 15 minutes for yourself at the beginning of the day. Because that will set the stage that at least you didn't forget about yourself, and it gets you prepared to get through the day in the sense that at least you did something physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally for yourself. 15 minutes. And maybe you could work it up eventually to 30 minutes a day. But please don't just jump out of bed and start with the children right away if you can, because then that's what you're doing. You're serving the children all day long, and by the end of the day, there's nothing left for you. And just 15 minutes, a little bit. That's all I ask. And I don't know, Andrea, if you're still there. It sounds like, is Andrea still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Can you do that, Andrea? I mean, is there any way to do that for you at the beginning of the day?
Yes, and there are some days that I really have been able to do that. I felt I had what you said, that doing what I've heard from both of you, just doing what I'm doing is doing service to God. I was just feeling that more since I used to do more before, but I feel I don't do as much now, like with the fasting, because there are times when I'm just so stressed, I'm just not up to fasting, and fasting a certain food, not fasting certain meals because I'm breastfeeding. But
right.
But yes, no, that is very good advice. At least those 15 minutes every day. Yeah,
just in the morning, and then check back with us. Let us know how it works, because it could help others. So many of us put ourselves at the very last, and we're just too tired by the end of the day. It's that simple. Yeah. Right? I mean, I'm right with you.
I do not suffer from insomnia, that's for sure.
Oh, good.
Bless your heart. Well, you sound like a great mom, because your kids are running around you having a grand old time, and that sounds awesome. Sounds like a fun household. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for the call. We're coming up on that hard break that Debbie talks about. Debbie, it's the new year. We still haven't been able to move it. Sorry about that. But we are going to get to more of your calls. We have a text from Whitney, and on the phone we've got Lisa and Patricia and Elvira. talking about starting over, making changes in our life, drastic changes, substantive changes. How do we do it? Do we do it with God's help, with God's discernment, with the advice and counsel of people outside of us? 800-585-9396. You can join the conversation.
60 on 10 with Monsignor Charles Pope.
The third commandment, remember to keep holy the Sabbath day. You know, of all the commandments, it might seem that we would get this one right. After all, it commands us to rest one day. But so often we're off to our own pursuits. God asks us to take one day to stop, reflect, rejoice, spend time with Him and with our family. But so often we're running everywhere else. It's also a day for worship. The book of Leviticus says, 6 days work shall be done, but on the seventh day is a Sabbath of solemn rest and a holy convocation. You shall do no work. It is the Sabbath of the Lord. And the book of Hebrews says that we should not neglect to meet together, as is a habit of some. And so again, we're asked by God to spend time reflecting and worshiping, and likewise spend time with our family. The third commandment, remember to keep holy the Sabbath day.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Teresa Tomeo.
Every time I go to Mass and see my husband serving on the altar as a deacon, it hits me how, with God, all things are possible. I mean, there is no way that we should be still married, number one, based on all the problems we had. But number two, the fact that I'm in Catholic media and my husband is a deacon is simply a testimony to the power of God and the teachings of the Church that saved our marriage and, more importantly, our souls.
Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo. Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
The National Catholic Register is America's most complete Catholic news source, with a comprehensive view of the world from a distinctly Catholic perspective. For the latest issues, people, and events shaping the world as we know it, visit ncregister.com.
Hello, this is Bishop Joseph Bambera of the Diocese of Scranton.
Hi, this is Jeff Cavins.
My friends, this is Bishop Kevin Van of the Diocese of Orange. We hope and pray that you have a blessed Christmas from all of us here at the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
We are so glad you're with us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Again, the phone number, 800-585-9396, as we start what we believe is going to be a stretch of really good programs that we have selected some topics that we think are going to be of interest to you. So be sure you tune in each and every day. And today we're talking about getting a new start. It's the start of a new year, so we talked about resolutions last week. You can certainly contribute those today, but really just life in general. You know, we reach those crossroads in life. Certain ages get us thinking about, am I doing what I want to be doing? Am I doing what God has created me to do? Am I doing what's best for my family? We can make certain changes. We have kids who finally are out of the house. You're empty nesters. That's a start, kind of a fresh start for you. What about your relationship with God? Have you needed to kickstart that from time to time, or switch careers, go back to school, these kinds of things? 1-800-585-9396. Okay, we got Patricia next, listening to EWTN Radio in Virginia. Hello, Patricia. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you? Happy New Year. Hello, Patricia.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Thank you. So what would you like to share on this topic?
Well, I went back to school at 40 and got my GED, and of course, went to school, went to college. I raised 5 children, and they were leaving home, and so I made some plans. And what happened was I was, beginning the graduate program, and my best friend died suddenly. And since then, we've had several deaths in the family. And I feel like it opened up something inside of me to see what was more important. And I know that the person, who was on the phone before, with the 4 little ones, I keep finding my life in some kind of chaos, whether it's children chaos, financial chaos, employment chaos. And I just realized that that's going to come and go. And in the very moment, if I'm not mindful of God and His presence, in all these little moments, there's somewhere, someplace to be of service. And, it's my goal this year to just stay in that place, to be of service. Because, really and truthfully, nothing else matters. The bills are going to call every Friday, no matter what. The kids are going to have issues. Life is going to go on. But I never truly feel fulfilled unless I am being of service.
Right. Well, Patricia, I have to tell you, as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, you hit a spiritual home run with your take on this, because I think it's important that you voiced it the way you did from your heart. And it was important for all of us to hear it and to let it seep inside of us, because you're absolutely right on. The stressors are going to happen around us. Things are going to happen all the time around us. We can't control what goes on around us. We can just spiritually get ourselves in the right priority and right perspective of our relationship with God. And you've got it, and you're keeping that centered, and God is at the center, and like you said, if my mindset is on God, what else really matters? And that is so true. You know why people, I think, don't adopt that on a regular basis? Because it almost sounds too easy. Would you agree with that, Patricia?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Yeah, and so they look for all the hard things to try and make their life better, and all these things that they think are going to make their lives happier, when really all we have to do is keep our mind and our hearts and our disposition focused towards God. And then all else just kind of really doesn't seem to faze us, because we're going to make it. We know the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right with you, Patricia. I want to join your club. I think it's awesome. Yeah, it's a great way to start out 2017. This is perfect, what you're saying, and I hope others that are listening really take heart and say, yeah, let's just focus on God this year and see how our life has just that interior freedom in it, which is amazing. Jerry, how do you feel about that?
No, I think you've really touched on everything very beautifully there, and I would just simply add, like as we have talked about with everybody else, Patricia, if you feel like it would help you to have somebody else weighing in on this, whether it's a family member, someone close to you, very, very close, or perhaps your pastor at your parish or something. But sometimes we can sense God is leading us to do something, leading us in a certain direction. And I know in my own life there have been times when I've just needed that confirmation nudge. Somebody says, yeah, I think that's right. I think that suits you. I think that makes sense for you. So that may be something, Patricia, for you to consider that we've talked about with other callers.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia. Thanks for making the call. You helped us today.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
absolutely. Next, we're going over to Andrew, who is listening to... I'm sorry, wait a minute. Hold on here. My eyes are going bad. I think we got Elvira. Sorry, Elvira is next, listening to EWTN Radio on Guadalupe Radio in San Antonio. Andrew, you're coming up, but Elvira, you're next. Hello. Happy New Year, Elvira.
And Happy New Year to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I am... I'm feeling that as a new start for me, it has to be to place boundaries for people in my life who are in perpetual need of financial help. I am feeling I need divine help to be able to discern at what point is my help fruitful, or at what time does my help really enable them to continue in a destructive path. And setting boundaries for the persons I love is very hard for me.
Mm-mm.
I'm a very giving person, but I realize that as a retiree, I no longer have the means to deplete my finances to help others. I'm placing this enormous burden in God's hands to help me with this.
Yeah, and Debbie, I'm sure you have some thoughts, but I would say a couple things right now, and I want to delve a little bit more deeply into what you said. The first thing you said about, where do you draw the line at helping people, helping versus enabling? But the first thing I would address is just the boundary issue. And I think, Debbie, I know you're big on this in terms of life skills and so forth. And it seems so difficult for us to create healthy boundaries. And this isn't being mean to people or locking them out of our lives or what have you. But I think we sometimes feel, Debbie, you can comment on this, we feel we have this obligation just to be available to people at all times, at any time. Give them our phone numbers, our email addresses, tell them come over anytime, or if it's family members inside the house. And people just need their space. You look at Jesus, he got away. He got away to quiet places. He needed to recharge his batteries, needed that little bit of alone time, that time with God. So, Debbie, I know you can comment on probably both of these issues more than I can, but I think I don't know, have we done a show on boundaries before?
Have. Yes, we have. I was just actually trying to look it up as you were speaking. We have done it, and Jerry, everything you said was spot on. Elvira, here's the thing. It sounds like you're such a giver. You almost have that those pangs of guilt that I need to help my family members or friends, and I get that. We totally get that. But here's the thing: you have to determine. When you made the comment at the beginning of your call that you said, at what point do I set those boundaries? Are you enabling them? Is it getting worse because it just seems like it's not helping them? That's where proper discernment comes in as to what you need to help people with and what you don't. Obviously, we have to take care of our own needs as well, and so that has to be a focus as well. But you can helping people, if it gets to the point where you just feel like, okay, I can never say no, that's not healthy either. So it's something that you have to kind of work through. And I would encourage you to definitely talk to your pastor or a deacon or somebody in the church that you really trust and is spiritually sound and bounce some ideas off of. You don't have to make these decisions alone. When I make some big decisions, I call a group of people. And there are times that I just call and say, listen, am I thinking this the right way? And they'll say to me, Debbie, you're not looking at this the right way. Let's look at it this way. It helps. It helps to relieve that guilt that really maybe shouldn't be there. Is that speaking to your heart, Elvira?
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're a good person. In fact, you're a great person. You have to remember that sometimes a giver's, they feel like they're giving so much. There's no end to it, and you're a great person. So remember that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll pray for you, Elvira, because your heart is beautiful. There's no question at all of the love and the desire to sacrifice that's in your heart. You just need to also make sure that that it doesn't bring you down and just cause you to be not taking care of yourself. So thank you so much, Elvira, for the phone call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We appreciate that. I guess, Debbie, one way I would summarize that is there are times in my life, and I know I've been in this situation too, I've gotten better at establishing, I think, healthy boundaries, but the way I've been able to know in the past when I'm not setting up those boundaries is when you get to the point where you're helping people or being there for them or serving them, and you're doing it through clenched teeth, kind of. Does that make sense? You're going,
yes.
And you just know, but it becomes a frustration for you because you don't feel like you can't do it, and yet when you do it, you're just going, oh, here I go again, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just an important lesson to learn.
It is an important lesson. And Elvira says something, too. I just wanted to add, Jerry, to what you're saying. We can help in so many other ways. I mean, everybody always thinks that the only way to help somebody is through your time or your money. There's so many other ways to help people. Spiritually is one of the best ways to help other folks, and that's through prayer. Prayer is the most powerful. So sometimes we forget that we can give to others, and it doesn't have to be something that's always a material thing, right, Jerry? I mean, I would think that.
Oh, yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, without question.
Yeah. So I just want people to know they have options. They don't have to feel stuck to have to always give a certain thing. Okay, Lisa, You are up next. You've been waiting so patiently. You're listening to EWTN Radio in Texas on Guadalupe Radio. Hi, Lisa. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
So my question is with regards to consecrating ourselves to Mary or to Jesus. I kind of need some clarification on what exactly does that mean. So the reason I'm asking is it's been placed upon my heart in the last couple of months. I've kind of heard others talk about it. I've heard it on EWTN radio and on the television, and then recently it was in one of our church bulletins. So obviously God is trying to tell me something, but I don't really know what it means. So I was hoping maybe you could provide some insight to that.
Jerry, I'll let you go first, but are you referring to 33 days? Was that in your bulletin, the 33 days?
Yes, that was in the that was one of the things that was in the bulletin. There was a consecration to Mary, a consecration to Our Lady of Lourdes, a consecration to... So I just kind of need a better understanding of what exactly does that mean.
Okay,
Right.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, just real quickly, there are many ways to do this. St. Louis de Montfort has his total consecration to Jesus through Mary, and the one you may be referring to, or that Debbie referred to, is Father Michael Gately has written a book called 33 Days to Morning Glory, which is a 33-day preparation to making a consecration to Jesus through Mary. But your question, Lisa, is more, I think, more foundational than that. What is a consecration? In particular, in this case, to Mary. I know it's a stumbling point for certainly many non-Catholics, and even a lot of practicing Catholics aren't really clear on what this means. And see, we want to be in an intimate relationship with Jesus. That is the most important thing. So when we talk about consecrating ourselves to Jesus, see, it's a lot of people say it's consecration to Mary, which is, that there's nothing wrong with wording it that way. If we want to give ourselves to Mary for her to take us then or present us to Jesus or help us grow closer in our relationship with Jesus. But the focus always must be on Jesus. And we have that phrase of Mary in the gospel at the wedding feast of Cana, do whatever he tells you. And so that is what Mary wants most of all for us to do, is to submit ourselves to the holy will of Jesus. But Debbie, I know you can tag on to this. Like, what better way to get to Jesus than through Mary? And we have that. I was thinking about this last night as I was laying in bed. As I was saying some prayers to Jesus, who is our King, and I remembered Jesus is the Davidic King, the fulfillment of the Old Testament King. Well, what did the King have? The King had the Queen Mother at his right hand. And people would enter the presence of the king, but they would actually fall prostrate before the Queen Mother, and they would ask her to ask the king for favors. So this is really all this is when we consecrate ourselves to Jesus through Mary. The popes and the saints have said, Debbie, and I'm rambling on because I love this topic.
You're perfect.
They have said it's the surest way to Jesus, and I wouldn't go to Jesus any other way. We can go straight to Jesus, absolutely. But boy, there's nothing Mary wants more than to bring us directly to her Son.
Jerry, you said it perfectly. Lisa, the only thing that I would add is that consecration is a spiritual exercise, and it's to be set aside for a sacred purpose. And the way you look at it is Mary was set aside for a sacred purpose. So she's by her example, she is a perfect example to unite ourselves to Christ. And so it's a spiritual exercise to grow in spirituality, to focus our efforts in a spiritual sense. And it comes with it prayers and meditation, and it just prepares ourselves better. So I hope I just could add to that what Jerry said. Jerry said it perfectly, but I agree with Jerry. I'm passionate about it too, because so many of us forget to consecrate ourselves and to consecrate our children to Mary, or through Mary to Jesus. It's amazing. It's really I can't explain it, but it catapults your spirituality.
Okay. Now I have a better understanding, because I was kind of lost, so I already have a deep relationship with Christ, and I call Mary, and my children call Mary Mama Mary. We refer to her as Mama Mary. And I've told my children that I've given them to Christ to do with as he wills. And I say that because all but one of my children is very open to vocations. 3 of my boys want to be priests. They're very young still.
Awesome.
And one of my daughters wants to be a nun. So I've told them that you have to completely be open to whatever God calls you to be and to not be afraid. But I never really stopped for a moment. I thought I was already giving of myself already, but now that you've kind of explained this a little bit better, the light turned on. So thank you.
Oh, good. Well, that's wonderful. And Pope John Paul II wrote a lot about it. And so there's so much you can read. But I'm so glad Jerry mentioned St. Louis de Montfort, because that's where that consecration to Jesus through Mary really takes shape. And so that's awesome. Doesn't that make you excited, Jerry, that Lisa just, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just, the last thing I would say, Lisa, is a lot of people think that we can honor Mary too much, I guess is how I would put that. I don't think it's possible to honor her too much. It's possible to honor her incorrectly or improperly by in some way deifying her, and that of course is the objection that is often raised by non-Catholics. But it's so very, very biblical and historical that the Church has honored Mary the way we do, and has gone through Mary to Jesus. And like I said before, there's nothing she wants. I mean, she's the flesh and blood that came out of her womb suffered and died for our salvation. How could she want anything more than for that salvation to be achieved in our lives? And who is the author of that salvation? It's her Son. So as we draw closer to Mary, there's no other thing that's going to happen that we're going to draw closer to Jesus ultimately. So anyway, hope that helps you out, Lisa. Thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Got to get a quick mention here, Debbie, of the EWTN Media Missionaries.
Yep, and we do.
Yeah, EWTN, folks, is on TV, radio, print, doing publishing now, online, you name it. And if you like what you receive and how you benefit from the resources that EWTN has acquired and makes use of, you can let your community know all about it. Debbie, you could maybe talk about this for a minute as well, but there are a lot of ways that we can get the word out in our communities.
Right, and the media missionaries are right in our neighborhoods, in our parish communities, and it's a great way to stay in touch with EWTN and what's happening with EWTN. A lot of things happen on a regular basis, so you want to stay in touch, and to be a media missionary is a great way to be that voice in your community. So visit EWTNmissionaries.com today and maybe join us in sharing the eternal word with the world. I love that. Okay, right. And Andrew, you're up next. You're listening in Toronto, Canada to EWTN Radio on YouTube in Canada. I love it. Hi, Andrew. Happy New Year.
Hi. Happy New Year's. Hi, you too. I want to say, blessed new beginnings and Happy New Year's to you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say something about regarding new beginnings, specifically in relationship with the Lord God. And I wanted to mention about, how the difficulty of the temptation to discouragement comes up as kind of like a false boundary in our relationship with the Lord. And I mean, for example, just judging from my own experience, I would see how the devil would like would like us, I'm sure, to be downcast in ourselves at those new or deeper prospects onto relationship with God. So to hinder any daring to move into those happy new beginnings with Him, believing deeper in the Lord. For example, maybe the thought comes about how what we are isn't enough, as if we should be something more. And these thoughts come and they get me down anyway, for sure. And in reality, it turns out, yes, it's true of ourselves. We are not enough, but it is a lie that says this is some kind of reason why the hope of the Lord or deeper hoping in the Lord isn't what is available or right for us right now. No, in truth, no. Thanks be to God always, and even now, and we can always say that, even now, coming toward and to that relationship with the Lord is for you, is for me, even for me, which is something that is because God is love, and our lacking of ourselves is, it's become kind of an exciting thing for me now, and even a good thing, because even now still, because it means, we can't be that more that is that reality of love by ourselves, and but love is never a solitude at all. But no, it means that our relationship with God is what we actually want, and that He is always offering us that relationship, because He is love and can't be anything else.
That's right.
And it's clear that I just wanted to say that it's clear that the will of the heart of God regarding the door of that relationship is always being thrown open for us.
Andrew, real quickly, because we're getting ready to close the show, but I just want to say what you said is is right in line with St. Augustine. Our hearts are restless until they rest in you. You have shifted the mindset of feeling, wow, this is like an unworthiness. You have shifted it around for a longing, a seeking, a drawing into God's beautiful love and mercy and abundant joy. And that's huge. That's a huge spiritual shift. Andrew, you hit a home run with that one. And stay with that. And don't let anything discourage you, because the world around us is going to keep hitting us. And keep that focus, and it is really going to bring up, in my opinion, great blessings are going to flow from that. So Andrew, God bless you for that. I loved what you had to say.
Way to go, Andrew. Thank you. And we've got about a minute for Tim in, looks like Findlay, Ohio, listening to EWTN Radio, also on the YouTube channel. Hi, Tim. You get to close out the show today. We've got 1 minute for you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I thought we already had New Year's.
So what's up? What's the new beginning for you?
Going back to college. I've shared with you before, went to community college, graduated from there, then got a year in at Arizona State University. Mm-hmm. And it was like basically after being my legwork for my mom before she passed away, and then as I was little, taking care of my my grandmother who was bedridden. I've always thought of others before, and now I'm actually just, like doing stuff for me, not selfishly, but I feel now that I'm doing what I'm supposed, like you said earlier, and that one caller shared earlier, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and Debbie, you got to be excited. You went to Arizona State, didn't you, Debbie?
I did for a little bit, and then I ended up getting married, so I dropped out. But then I went back to college. But Tim, enjoy the ride. Education, that is awesome. I mean, what a great journey, and for you to be doing. They got to keep us posted on how the studies are going, Tim.
Yeah, thank you for calling, Tim.
Yep, I just emailed you a while back, so I don't know if you guys got it yet or not.
Well, we'll take a look. We'll take a look, Tim. Thank you. And wow, Debbie, off to a great start here in 2017. Tomorrow, an important program for us.
I don't have it written down. Tell us what it is.
We're going to have John Finch join us. If anybody saw the Father Effect on EWTN, it was broadcast a few weeks ago. We're going to talk about the impact of absent fathers in the lives of families. So that's our next broadcast live tomorrow, Debbie. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be a deep show, but we want to hear from you. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. Happy New Year again.